Hello, you all. Welcome to this new edition of Lectio Musica, the place for great lyrics, great music, and great meaning. My name is Guylain Prince. I'm a Franciscan friar from Canada, and I love rock music for a long time, especially hard rock, metal, and prog. And once a week, with all of you, I stop all my other occupations and I listen closely to one song, and I recorded. It's a reaction video. I reacted earlier this week to an Epica song called Rivers. A few days later, I publish a small analysis. Be attentive. It's not, I do not use I would say, all the tools I have for my work. I do not do that. I simply do it as a leisure, trying to understand a song and do a little bit of analysis. Most of you know that this is my work in trying to understand very difficult texts, sometimes ancient texts, and trying to make sense of them. Since I love rock music, I just apply some of my natural, I would say, abilities and those I acquired as a professional for the interpreting of old texts. I put them in the analysis, but in a very leisurely way. By no way I consider myself to have the final word on the song. No, it's more like my videos are opening the dialogue with you guys, and that's why I really appreciate all the comments you make down here. As you know, I always read you. I always react to you in a personal way. It's quite easy for me to do because I type on the computer quite fast, and my ideas comes very naturally. So it's really not such a thing. Sometimes people think I spend a lot of times on the commentary section. You would be quite disappointed how long I take for that. But anyways, there's a little difference this week because for a reason I don't understand, I cannot give you the presentation I have on my computer. That I usually can put it on the top right corner of the screen. I cannot do that this week. It's a new version of the video and a new system of operation. As you know, there are always little bugs, little problems that they appear when there's a new version of something. So maybe it will disappear. I hope so. For this week, you will not have on the screen my notes. I will have them. I will follow exactly the same pattern as usual. So after a small introduction, I will enter into verse by verse. Then I will do a concluding remark. So if you understand the words, maybe you just want to go to the concluding remarks. It will be quite easy to identify, in which I always make comments on the music, the lyrics, and the meaning of the song. I will have also a small section of commentary, a personal opinion on the song. So there we go, as usual. Last week we did Kingdom of Heaven Part 3, part of the album Omega, that was published in February 2021. So I reacted and made an analysis of that. Earlier this week, I reacted spontaneously to 3 versions of the song Rivers. If you haven't listened to it, I suggest that you go and know well the song to appreciate the analysis I do here. Now, this is the analysis in English. I do my reaction in French because I'm very natural in French. It's not even standard French. It's the French of my friends, the French of my family. So I'm very, I would say, I feel very connected when I react that way. And this made really the most, I would say, natural reactions when I do them in French. Don't forget, you can subscribe and push the little bell right beside the subscribe button if you want to be notified as soon as a new video comes out. As for now, let's progress into that eighth album, Omega. This is the eighth song, the ninth instrumental piece of the album, so we are slowly going towards the end. The composers are Rob van der Loo and Epica, and the lyricist is Simone. Let's enter now in the song. It begins with a very, I would say, ethereal atmosphere. All the very calm, and the voice, distant voice of Simone, also of, I would say, ethereal fashion, distant. We are in an environment, I would say, spiritual climate, general impression. There's a parallel. There's a piano. It seems quite repetitive at first hearing. Of course, they are repeated cycle. It gives us I would say it's a haunting piano made of serenity. I will tell you how, for me, the piano illustrates the whole song. Beautiful voice of Simone begins to sing. This is what she says. Become one with imagination. No more fairy tales, no more fairy tales. Our souls will unite together. We will lift the veil, lift the veil. Use your imagination, but not for fairy tales. Use your imagination to picture you and me together. We will lift the veil. Now, if you don't know the previous songs of the same album, you will know that the veil is a common topic, is removing what blocks our full, I would say, full nature and full understanding of reality. So once we will remove the veil through imagination, we will see that we will unite together one day. So there is in I would say, in the space-time world in which we are, there's a possibility through imagination to picture ourselves from a different perspective, in which a veil can be removed and we are together. Okay? The togetherness here, we will see it seems to be more fusion than to be very close, but we will see. Then comes a B section that we can, I think, because of the quality of the music and because of the kind of build-up that you have, because it's between the verse and the chorus, I think it's fair to call it a pre-chorus. The B section would be a pre-chorus, and here you have two cycles B. Your touch has turned to stone, no fire in your bones. It's time to leave the past behind. The description of a physical body that has turned to stone and no fire in your bones, personally, I think it's the accompaniment of a dying person. The person is dying, and the person is saying, you see, we can picture ourselves to be reunited. So there's the first, I would say, level of understanding. That would be this. As we will see, there are three levels or three layers we can understand that song, and all of them are feeding each other in a very beautiful way. So it's time to leave the past behind. But I just want to say that maybe also it could be interpreted as to have cold hands and to be dim low because of difficulties. It could be that interpretation as well, but it's more like far-fetched compared to to be close to a dying person. The experience of being close to a dying person, I think it describes it very well. Now, the road, what is the leaving the past behind? The road is never ending. There will not be a death. There's a transformation, of course, but it's never ending. And this is probably where we will see each other. All dreams will start ascending. Ascending where? In the afterlife, apparently. So the dreams, there's a connection between the afterlife and the dreams, from what I understand, and beyond the boundaries of the mind. The mind being the spatial and physical body we have right now, beyond the boundaries of a closed mind or limited mind, there is a never-ending road. I think it's a fair way to describe the end of a physical world, physical life, entering into a new level of life. I think it's quite well presented, to be frank. So the person in that context, for me, it seems very clear that it's for a dying person. Break loose from the chains. More and more, to be frank, to be present quite regularly to dying persons. Having experienced that also on the personal level. There's a moment we say to the person, "Yeah, you can go in peace. You can go." I haven't seen very often someone saying, "Break loose the chains." But I understand, the chains that link, these chains linking you with the present world. Break them. Rise above the waves. Well, the waves of a river, the waves of a river. So, and here, as if our present life was inside the river, and to break the surface would be a nice illustration of leaving the present world to the afterlife, okay, as I can see. Now, break loose. Fighting in the darkness would be, while you are fighting in the darkness, the state of before death, when you don't see anything and then you are fighting to stay alive, and a little bit like an agitated person within water, okay? Dancing in the light would be to go and dance in the light, to rise above the wave. So what I understand the chorus is that break loose from the chain is our life, rise above the wave will be afterlife, fighting in the darkness would be within the river, within our lives, dancing in the light would be the afterlife. This is how I can see how this chorus is built. Then break out from your cage, turn another page. Drowning in the river, swim against the tide of life. Here is the tide of life. We will see that when you are in this life fighting, because you get the impression of drowning, of to be in prison or so. In fact, in this river, you could experience something of a deeper reality, which is the afterlife. This is how I understand it. Just a simple note. This chorus is absolutely gorgeous. I don't know if you have, just look at it very clearly. Look at that. Break loose from the chains up there. Rise above the waves. Or maybe we could put it down here. Break loose from the wave. Rise above the waters. Fighting in the darkness. Dancing in the light. And again, break out from the cage. Turn around another page. Drowning. You remember it was fighting. Drowning in the river, swim against the tide of life. I find this beautifully written. The only one line that is not about the upper level is the last one, because it describes the person fighting against the current in a river, and we will see what it means. It's a way of living your life in time of space as a fighting against, and there's an invitation to enter the current of life in that song. That's how I would understand. Beautifully crafted. This song is remarkable, both in the music, the melody, and on the level of the lyrics. Beautifully done by Simone. I'm sorry, I have a tendency to say Simone because the in French is Simone, in Italian is Simone, and these are languages I can speak, and I have the tendency to pronounce it the Italian way. It's Simone. Probably her name is Simone. We go back into the verse, A verse, the second one. Holding tight to the ever after, living for a sign, to survive raging storms together through the eyes of time. Back in our life, okay, what could be a good way to live this life? What could be the good conditions to live there? It's holding tight to the ever after. It's to keep, you live in this world by keeping your eyes on the ever after, the unending after. Living for a sign. We live to have sign of what? Probably I would tend to think it's the ever after. These little, I would say, sparks you have in your life of a deeper reality and of an afterlife. To survive raging storms together. For me, that's the life, the spatial and temporal life. We have storms, we have obstacles. Surviving them how? By holding tight the ever after, by taking into account the signs that we have of this deeper reality. And I think what is said in that song is that the dreams can be an open window for a deeper understanding of reality, which is, I would say, quite accurate. Through the eye of time, for me, the eye of time would be like a tornado, eye of tornado. That's how I understand it, though. Tell me if you do not agree. There's a beginning and there's an end in the eye. So, and everything around circles. So, the eye of the tornado would be the time span of our lives. This is how I understand. So, through time and space, our actual life, we hold tight to the ever after and to the signs we have of this deeper reality and eternal reality, so that we can cross the raging storms. The raging storm still the eye. So here the storm, the idea of tornado storm, and the eye, quiet moment inside, could be both the fact that it's a limited time space, and also probably when everything is turning around us, we can find a focus, a place of peace within ourselves. I think all of this is possible, and I think all of this is voluntarily written in a very open way. I will say how. For me, there are 3 layers, and they communicate quite well, in fact, quite well. The eye shows no reflection. So there's the possibility of the eye of a person, or it could be the eye of time. Eye of time would be our limited time, lifetime. So there's no reflection in that lifetime of the afterlife. There is no reflection. And the dying person, at woman, we say that in French, that the eye loses its spark, loses its reflection, as being, we say in French, I think we say that in English as well, as that the eye is the reflection of the soul. That would be, the eye shows no reflection. For me then, would be the lifetime is finished. The soul has left the person. But here is something interesting. If the lifespan, the life in time and space has no reflection of what? Of the afterlife or deeper reality, there is no dreams without inception exist within ocean of time. So the dreams are a window on the deeper reality, a window on the afterlife. And they are kind of little sparks of eternity within our finite life. Now, there could be another understanding of this. The fact, for example, that the dreams, the origin of the dream is in the oceans of time. Oceans, if you remember, there are rivers. So rivers of time are flowing towards the ocean. So the rivers could, at our actual situation is like as if we are moving through time to reach what? To reach what seems to be a stable water plan, where there is infinity of time, which would be the eternity. So no dreams that doesn't find its source ultimately beyond time, in the infinite time, in eternity. That would be my take on this one. You already know the chorus, break loose from the chains right above the waves. You know how highly I think of this understanding, that I love really the chorus. Now there's a bridge, and this bridge is made of a children choir that enters. They simply sing a beautiful melody, but it's a simple melody made mainly from the chords. So it's a very basic melody constructed on the progression of chords of the bridge, in which Simone enters with the melody. It's like a beautiful landscape made with both the instruments, and the choir will do a contre-chant. In fact, they will be more on the side of the instruments in that. And there we go. Simone will sing in the bridge. The coil in which we're living is no more than a prison. The scheme of life became deranged. Dark clouds with silver lightnings attain the mysteries of shadow and shine. Here is a description of the life we live. The coil. You know what is a coil? I will say in the comment that they are, we could say that of our natural and spatial way of living. We can say that of I would say some religions in the world and philosophies understands life as being a coil. We will talk about this cycle of reincarnation. So in the context here, I see it really as the coil of reincarnation, the fact that according to certain religions, you begin your life, you finish, you begin again, and all this coil that we live is no more than a prison. So there is a prison from which, of course, we are trapped, but there's probably a way out. The scheme of life became deranged, so probably we lost that sight. Dark clouds with silver lightnings, so our life is mainly dark and covered. Do you remember this idea of a veil? The clouds are pretty much the same understanding, that they block us from a larger perspective. But the lightning is like pieces of light, not pieces, sparks of light coming here and there. So our coil is to be in a mainly cloudy world where there's a veil, and this veil can be. We can see pieces of light through lightning, little flashes that help us to understand that beyond the clouds there is light. And this vision of being in a coil and cloudy life, there are lightnings and there are probably pieces of the sun coming through the clouds that help us to attain what is reality at a higher level, which is shine, where there's sun, there's space, there's sky, and the clouds are, I would say, a lower level. That would be my understanding. So to attain the mysteries of shadow and shine is way larger. Shadows is something, it's the impression we get of being trapped in a prison, in a coil, and in darkness, but this is only a very limited perspective on our lives. Again, you have, this time with a choir, Simone, singing the chorus. It's wonderful, it's excellent. It ends with a small reminding of the opening, the same ethereal voice of Simone, same, I would say, general climate of serenity, but with a little bit of, I would say, it is serenity, but there's something haunting. There's something incomplete in a way. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, many cycle from the piano, repetitive cycle from the piano in fade out, never ends. It does not, the song does not end in a way, it continues as a cycle. So that's why I told you the piano for me is pretty much, I will come back to that in a second. Now let's comment on the structure. After a beautiful opening that is pretty much the same as the finale, instrumental finale, there is the first verse, A section, 2 times the pre-chorus. If you remember well, the B section is repeated 2 times, and then there's the C. We enter immediately with A, so it's A, B, B, C, and ABC. So the structure is quite simple. There's an instrumental bridge, very beautiful, and then the D section, the bridge song by Simone, with the contre-chant of the children's choir, and then there is the C, the final chorus with the choir, and so on. So musically, there's a haunting and repetitive melody on the piano, behind the chorus at the intro extra as well. For me, it is the musical key of this, the musical So now let's see in terms of music, after an introduction, a beautiful introduction of the haunting voice and piano of the intro that you will find again at the end. There is A, and then you remember the pre-chorus is repeated 2 times. So A, B, B, C. okay? And again, A, B, C. So this is the main structure of the song. After that, there's a small instrumental section there, the bridge, instrumental bridge. We enter into the bridge song by Simone with the children choir in the background. And finally, we have the last section, including the children choir, the adult choir, and all backing vocals. It finishes there with, well, it doesn't finish in a way, it fades out. The haunting and repetitive melody of the piano behind the chorus and in the intro is for me is this discrete key on the musical level. The melodies are gorgeous and rich. The direction of the song is simple, extremely effective. I think the extremely beautiful melodies, the very rich words, lyrics, call for simplicity, because by themselves they kind of exudes beauty by all the ports of musical interest, I would say. So I really appreciate the simple direction in that song. Now for the lyrics, offers no difficulty at all in the chosen vocabulary. We can understand every single word at face value, but don't be fooled. It is a rich song. Like many writings of simple words, they convey a very deep understanding of dream, life, and death. A certain version, at least, of them. It's remarkable how simple words can convey very deep meanings. Now, there are three layers to the song. There's the layer of life in space and time that we live, dream, and afterlife. Now, let's talk a little bit about this. You will see how intertwined they are. First of all, our life, as expressed in the first paragraph, in this space and time, the imagination is a tool to picture ourselves, but not in the sense of fairy tales. The imagination becomes a tool to access a deeper understanding of our reality. Something we see in the B section quite clearly. It seems to describe a dying person, but this is not the end. Beyond the boundaries of the mind or limited mind or earthly life lies an afterlife. The C section arrives, the chorus, as an invitation to enter to a new level of life, to break the cage, fighting against darkness, dancing in the light. You remember I told you about this too. Drowning in the river, swim against it. In the present world, passing through obstacles like in the verse 4, while keeping the work of our imagination on the afterlife to be able to continue to travel through the eye of time. That would be the level of our present life. Now, the dream is understood as an illustration of present life and of a deep reality, a deeper level of reality beyond the appearances. So there's a connection between the dream, a dream, and this deep reality. Now, what is in the dream is an illustration of what happens to you in space and time, and a connection with deep reality in you and in the afterlife. This is quite, for me, this is quite common. Common is not the right word. This is something that has been expressed somewhere else. For example, the dream as having a connection with what we live has been established by psychologists. If you really take the time to understand your dreams, you probably will understand what is happening within you in relation with the world, with the present world. So, but at the same time, the connection between dream and afterlife or spiritual life has been established for a long time. In French, we have a different word for dreams like that, songe. The songe is a dream that gives you access to a deeper knowledge, deeper understanding. So you have that in the song. Exactly, these two connections are there, quite clear. Now, in the fourth, fifth, and after that, there's also a question of the afterlife. That's the third layer. The moment we live in space and in time is presented as a coil. You remember the D section. This coil is a prison, preventing or blocking you from being your true self, to know yourself first, but also to know deeply what is reality beyond the clouds, beyond the veil. So there are three levels. The coil can be understood simply as a natural order of things, the seasons and our life. It can be also spiritual level. Is that, yeah, we are sometimes into darkness, but there are ways to go out of that. So that's it. And also probably, I'm pretty sure there's a certain understanding of life as being within the cycles of reincarnations, life and death. So in space and time, we live in a world of darkness and lightning, flashes from the beyond, and to a greater self and greater reality. So, well thought, well done. The title Rivers then indicates or refers to, I would say, the temporary a state of drops of water in a river before they all reach the ocean. If there is a separation between the drops, it is only apparent and or temporary. So the little drop can fight against the big river, but sooner or later it will join the river, it will go to the ocean in a way. So there are rivers going all to the ocean. The drop can fight in the water or join the flow. Her true nature and destination. Her true nature and destination is being part of a river and of the ocean. There is a way out of the coil of what seems to be a never-ending cycle. There is a window, a door out of this coil. Okay. So this is pretty much how I understand the song. Of course, personally, as a Christian, I don't see individuality as being an illusion or a temporary state. As a Christian, I believe that individuality continues in the afterlife. There is still an I, a personality. I do not believe personally as a Christian that I will be fused with everything, that every single part of me that calls for uniqueness and individuality. I don't think it's an illusion, and I think it will be part of eternity. This being said, there are things I share and there are things I do not exactly share about. I don't feel bodily existence as being a prison in any ways. And since I don't believe in reincarnation, I don't believe this at all. For me, this is... I don't see my destination or my destiny to be trapped, from which, by knowledge, for example, I could leave this unfortunate situation. I think it's different. You know, as a Christian, I think something different. But this being said, it's a beautiful song, well crafted in terms of lyrics. It presents a certain vision of how some people in the world understand the human destiny and destination, I could say also. I do not agree with that, even if I understand that the experience of spiritual life will give me this sense of being part of a greater good. Beautifully done, beautiful song, impossible to forget, I think. Remarkable melody, lyrics well done, Everything is well done in that song. I have a very high esteem of it, even if I do not share the vision of life in there. Our journey continues with the next song. It calls Synergize Manic Manifest. Will be next week. Reaction as usual on Wednesdays, and don't worry about the subtitles. I have absolutely no power over that. Sometimes they are there, sometimes they are not there. I have no possibility to change anything on that. Please bear with me anyways. Just come back a few days left. I do my job as usual, but the time it is published, I have no power over that at all. So at the premiere at 1:30 on Wednesdays, I'm pretty much always there. And Saturdays, it's not a premiere, but it still is published on the Saturday somewhere, the analysis of the same song in English. Don't forget to subscribe and to push the little bell right beside if you want to be notified as soon as a new video comes out. As for now, this is it for this week. I hope you liked it. Bye-bye.